restrictions for the state starting Monday. That includes the gathering ban, capacity limits, and social distancing requirements for bars and restaurants.
But just because restaurants can fill up, will they? That is the question there. Our Sydney Heiberger live in downtown Augusta. And Sydney, you talked to some business owners. How do they feel about all of this?
Well, Meredith, opinions about this executive order, somewhat of a mixed bag. Almost every single person I talked to agrees the idea of life returning to normal sounds really great. The difference in opinion, though, comes over whether now is the right time to do that. Statewide in Georgia, numbers are low, but they have been somewhat at a plateau for the past 2 weeks. Richmond County has actually seen a very slight uptick in cases. That's why businesses like New Moon Cafe say even though they can open back to full capacity, they're going to take their time doing so. They're still not open for indoor dining. They say they don't plan to do that until at least after the Masters. Meanwhile, just around the corner, Fat Man's Hospitality Group says they're going to jump at the chance to get back to catering big events.
We want this to be in the customer's hands. If they don't feel comfortable, then they don't have to come in these spaces. But as small business owners, we've got to get our businesses growing again.
And all of this coming just as right over the river in South Carolina, DHEC announcing yesterday they're concerned about a fourth wave of the virus because people, they say, are letting their guard down. So definitely a lot of mixed signals here. We're going to break it all down further tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, very fluid situation out there. Sydney, thanks a lot. We all know how dangerous lightning can be, and this family found out firsthand. Take a look at the result of a lightning strike in Columbia. That bolt left a trench foot deep in the ground, and then it runs all the way up to the home, blowing a hole through the garage.
Smell smoke, ran in the garage, and that's when I saw that lightning had hit the house, so we called the fire department. Everything was okay, and thank the Lord we're still here.
It will sure get your attention, but yeah, as he said, everyone inside is okay. A close call there. Lightning is nothing to fool around with, and what a difference a day makes. Let's have a look outside as we check out
cold temperatures heading into Easter weekend in just a little bit.
Riley, thanks. The weather definitely took a turn for the better today, bringing golf's top amateur women back to Champions Retreat.
Today's second round is a pressure cooker for these players since it decides who will be playing at Augusta National this weekend. Our Mike Yakachonis gives us the latest from Champions Retreat.
No inclement weather today for the second round of the Augusta National Women's Amateur. It's been a bit breezy and a little chilly at times, but it's well worth it for the ladies trying to become the second ever women's champion. While all of the ladies will be able to play the National on Friday, only the top 30 will be playing to become champion. With such difficult conditions over the last 2 days, the scores haven't been particularly low, and that's something that's only adding to the difficulty of knowing whether or not you'll make it.
I think the hard thing about this tournament is, you feel like you're in contention, but you also feel like you're so close to the cut line, and I think that's the hardest battle out there is, a couple of mistakes, especially how difficult is playing. You can drop down so fast, but then you can also move up quite quickly too.
Even for those playing in their second women's amateur, the magnitude of playing for the championship still may not have set in. What has set in is how special the next 2 days will be.
I missed a cut 2 years ago, so I don't really have, set expectations, but, I hope I can just shoot under par somehow. We'll see how that goes, but, I just want to enjoy the moment because it's not every day you get to play Augusta.
Play is still finishing up. I'll have an update on the leaderboard coming up later tonight. At Champions Retreat, Mike Yakachonis on your side.
Do you get the impression these young players appreciate where they are at this time?
Yeah, and what's really great is when they practice tomorrow, no one is allowed on the course.
That's
It's
nice.
just them and Augusta National. Even with the limited patrons, it's just for them.
All to themselves.
So they can drink it all in.
And then those who make the cut will continue on. The top 30 women after today, they're going to be at Augusta National this weekend, but all are invited to the course tomorrow for that practice round that Meredith just mentioned. And don't you know they're excited about that?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. All right, Georgia State Representative Park Cannon speaking out for the first time today after being arrested at the Capitol a week ago. She was knocking on the governor's door while he was signing that new voting bill into law. Cannon was charged with disrupting a general assembly. Today, she's speaking out about those charges and the public response by Georgia businesses.
I am facing 8 years in prison on unfounded charges. A law Fortune 500 companies have begun knocking on the door too.
This session is officially over for Georgia lawmakers. Here are some of the bills that did and did not make it into law. Cities will not be able to cut police spending by more than 5% in a year. Another bill makes daylight savings permanent in Georgia, but that only means something if it's passed by Congress. Also passed an overhaul of the citizens arrest law. Bills that did not make the cut include sports betting. Also denied a bill that would have allowed anyone with a concealed weapons permit from any state to carry in Georgia.
Congressman Rick Allen took a tour of AU Health's vaccination site at Washington Square today. Afterward, the congressman gave praise to AU Health officials for their speed and efficiency.
Obviously, it's been unbelievably, to get this much vaccine in arms this fast is unprecedented, folks. And it's obviously the best way to deal with this.
Everyone in the two states 16 and older is eligible for the vaccine now, but the question is, do minors need permission from parents to get the vaccine? DHEC has something to say about that.
Although we still encourage 16 and 17-year-olds to talk to their parents, talk to their family members, their guardians about their decision for vaccination. But no, it's not a requirement for them to have parental consent.
We're also learning more about how long we're protected once we do get the vaccine. And today there's new data being released that says we're protected for at least 6 months after getting both shots of a vaccine. They did a study on that with more than 12,000 people. We're also learning the vaccine is 100% effective against the South African variant.
With the vaccine rollout happening, the South Carolina State Senate passed a bill to move all schools to 5 days a week. That has to happen by April 12th. It also requires schools to do the same next year. 54 of 79 districts are already back to in-person learning. All but 6 plan to meet the deadline. Teachers asked to teach in person and virtually will have to get paid more. South Carolina students could also be facing some new curriculum. During President Trump's presidency, he commissioned a report outlining the beginning of American history. State lawmakers are pushing a bill that would require schools to teach information from the report for 30 hours a year. Some lawmakers say it's to preserve American history. Others say the report gives a pass to founding fathers who were slave owners.
We want to make sure that students love this nation. We want students to understand that this political experiment that is America is a wonderful thing.
The 1776 project confuses nationalism with patriotism, and there's a real difference there.
The report included no professional historians, but several officials say it does have a lot of information that's already being taught in schools.
Here at Home Today kicks off National Child Abuse Prevention Month, and workers at the Children's Hospital of Georgia have planted pinwheels out there in their lawn to honor those victims of abuse. They also told us this year is more important than years past. With more families at home and the stress of the pandemic, they're seeing even more abuse.
We've seen numbers go up. Not just here at the Children's Hospital of Georgia, but really every children's hospital around the country has seen an increase in the rates of injuries and child abuse.
And the numbers tell the story. 48 children a day across Georgia will be victims of child abuse. So if you know someone who's being abused or in danger of abuse, there are resources you can call for help. Georgia DFAC's hotline is right there, 706-446-0023. You can also call for help in Georgia. That number is 1-800-48-CHILD. Both of these numbers take anonymous calls. We're going to have a list of resources for you posted on the website.
New data from studies shows 25% of South Carolina renters spend more than 50% of their income on rent. Because of this, economists say the state lost out on $10 billion. Much of the money they expected to be spent on household items like transportation, basic cost of living, that went directly towards rent.
But they weren't able to cover those expenses because of their housing costs. And if somebody is spending that much money on housing, there's just not the opportunity for people to have a sustainable, path forward.
Also in that study, 13,000 kids in schools don't have a permanent home to live in.
Today's the last day to sign up for next year's kindergarten classes in Richmond County. So as long as your child will be 5 years old by September 1st, they're eligible for the 2021-2022 school year, and I believe that should be pre-K. There are special registration hours at elementary and K through 8 schools to help families new to the district with this pre-K sign-up process.
Today, the Shepherd Community Blood Center is holding one of its biggest blood drives. Officials are desperately trying to address the lack of blood. There is still time to get out and save lives. It's over at the First Baptist Church of Augusta. They'll be out there until 7 o'clock tonight. There's also a ton of rewards for donors.
We're giving away free Chick-fil-A lunch. We're giving away free Girl Scout cookies while they last. And we're giving away free movie tickets the whole drive.
Yeah, food usually bribes us, right?
Yeah, right.
They also tell us they really need O positive and O negative blood. Again, that's First Baptist Church Augusta. It's on Walton Way, and they'll be there till 7 o'clock tonight.
Some great incentives there. Baseball fans rejoice. This is opening day across the country. Fans excited to finally be allowed back in the ballparks. We're going to check out some of the sights and sounds coming up right here, first at 5. Riley.
Richard, heading into tonight, we are expecting some places to get down to freezing. We'll take a look at some freeze warnings in effect coming up in your first alert forecast.
I trust you.
Don't want parents to be misled. That is kindergarten registration, and I know that means a big difference between pre-K and kindergarten, but those numbers we showed you, kindergarten registration in Georgia. Wanted to correct that. Baseball fans, you know it. It's opening day. 30 teams across the country back in action.
Some are actually playing in the snow. How crazy is that? They'll be playing their full 162-game schedule after a short season last year. Plus, fans are allowed into the parks, albeit a reduced capacity. Nancy Chin takes us to the ballpark.
In the Bronx, Yankees starting pitcher Garrett Cole got the season started with the first pitch at Yankee Stadium, signaling baseball is back.
This is our team that we've always rooted for. It's amazing.
Excited fans in blue and white were finally allowed back in the stands for the first time since the 2019 season, this time with proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test.
It's a rite of spring for us, and we're just really excited. It feels like the world's going back to normal a little bit.
Those who braved the cold and rain masked up to sit in pods, ready to see the Yanks and Blue Jays play ball.
We're a little excited. The rain, not even coming down right now. We're ready to go.
Yankee Stadium is among several ballparks that operated at 20% capacity, allowing fans to socially distance.
It's good for Hitch. Hit well.
The Detroit Tigers hosted a little more than 8,000 fans in the snow for their game against the Cleveland Indians Thursday. The Red Sox game against the Orioles was postponed due to rain, leading to this memorable on-air moment.
You can see what's happening right now. I'm barely holding on to this umbrella like Mary Poppins.
And COVID is already throwing a curveball at the season. The Washington Nationals were forced to cancel their opener against the New York Mets after at least one player tested positive. Nancy Chen, CBS News, New York.
For our Atlanta Braves fans, they're squaring off right now against the Philadelphia Phillies. But could you see the difference in springtime down south and springtime in Michigan and New York? Were those pictures?
I know. I mean, we complain about the pollen clouds and all of our allergies. I think I'll take that still, as miserable as it is, over snow and that cold rain.
Hey, Riley, it's not exactly springtime in New York yet. I didn't see one green thing in any of those shots up there.
Takes a little bit longer for them up there. Luckily, we get our pollen a little bit sooner, but actually feel a little bit more like winter the next few days around here. We do have some freeze warnings in effect.
Central or stream anytime on CBS.
Imagine you hear your family's expecting, only to learn you're going to be having twins.
And not just twins, but conjoined twins. For this family, there was definitely some anxious moments, but all the anxiety is turning to joy as the twins are separated and healthy. Susan Littlefield shares their incredible journey.
The Ericksons' family of 4 recently grew in a way they never could have expected. In week 17 of Kate's pregnancy, she got the news.
It was just shock. You know, they're like, oh, here's 1 baby, here's 2 baby, and they appear to be connected.
Right to the baby's chest, you see the baby's heart's beating. They found out they were having 2 children conjoined as 1.
We were so worried, you know, all of the possibilities going through your head of, are we going to make it out of this with any babies at all?
But they did. In November of 2019, Remy and Reese were safely born together.
Thanks, sweet girl.
Everybody in the operating room was smiling. Like everyone had masks on, but you could still see them smiling.
Mm-hmm. Just seeing them, it was just, you know, instant love, like you would a normal baby. So you didn't even really think twice about them being conjoined, really.
Turns out their shared body saved Reese from a deadly heart condition, stunning even their doctor.
Without Remy, I think our thoughts is that Reese probably had a very low chance of surviving by herself. That's a pretty remarkable scenario.
Dr. Joseph Lilligard was then tasked with another scenario, how to separate Remy and Reese, a procedure he's now assisted with 3 times at Children's Minnesota.
It's an emotional journey with the family because you're also preparing them for the possibility that things don't go the way that you hope them to go.
But after a 7-hour surgery, it did. Dr. Lilligard and 19 others separated the girls' chests, abdomens, and shared liver.
And we'd gotten so used to seeing them conjoined that once the separation happened, it was like they were reborn.
You really get to know the family well in the situation. So you feel their anxiety, you feel their stress, and you feel their relief and their excitement and the joy with them.
Can you imagine the bond those sisters are going to share for the rest of their lives?
Oh, especially that one likely saved the other. Oh, that's just amazing. And a happy ending.
We love that too.
Back in a bit.
It's the Ashley. This is about their timeline to get things back to normal. But first up, a breezy day out there on the golf course. You can see the flag there whipping and players' hair doing the same. In the wind today, it was day 2 of the Augusta National Women's Amateur, the ladies' last day out there at Champions Retreat before they head over to Augusta National for the practice round tomorrow. Everybody's going to get to be part of that, but only the top 30 move on to play Saturday at the National for the championship. So who will it be? We're going to check in with Sports Director Mike Akachonis in about 20 minutes to find out more. It was a chilly day out there today. Even cooler temperatures are on the way.
We're talking about freeze warnings for most of our area. Just checking out all the purple and blue lining up behind us.
Alert forecast.
All new tonight, an Augusta woman recovering after authorities say her son shot her with a pellet gun. The Richmond County Sheriff's Office says deputies responded for a welfare check at a home in the Raintree subdivision right off of Tobacco Road. That's where they found 77-year-old Oakchie Slusser hurt from multiple pellet gun shots. Authorities say her son, 47-year-old Billy Slusser, was barricaded in a bedroom with several pellet guns, BB guns, and knives. He's in the hospital right now with injuries he got while being taken into custody and some self-inflicted injuries. Deputies say he'll be charged with aggravated assault when he's released.
Starting next week, the state of Georgia plans to roll back a lot of its COVID-19 restrictions.
So that means no bans on large gatherings anymore and a lot less social distancing requirements from bars, restaurants, and other businesses.
The rollback was just announced yesterday, and now business owners have about a week to decide how or if they want to fully reopen. News 12 Sydney Heiberger joining us live from Broad Street downtown with how businesses say they're feeling about this big change.
Yeah, Richard, and it's a tough decision that businesses all around the country really have been grappling with for more than a year now, the balance between staying safe and making a living. But now that Governor Kemp has announced Georgia businesses can open back to full capacity, we're going to see some different businesses here doing different things. In case you hadn't heard,
2020 was rough.
But Governor Kemp's latest executive order leaves business owners with a choice: to go back to life as normal,
We're ready to get things rolling again.
or proceed with caution. For Havard Usry, whose gross revenue was down about 50% from previous years, that decision was easy.
The customer needs the option, and we also need the freedom to open our business back up. We don't want handouts from the government. We want to create our own revenue and create our own business.
But for Kelly Seaman at New Moon Cafe, she feels it's better safe than sorry.
As a company decision, we decided to continue doing the social distancing.
New Moon still has not opened for indoor dining. They say they hope to do so after the Masters, but even then, it'll be socially distanced and likely limited capacity.
It's for the customers. We're concerned of their safety too, but also our staff. And we don't want to overwhelm either one of those groups.
Though they take different approaches, both agree having the option is an exciting step in the right direction.
Meanwhile, just on the other side of the river, South Carolina DHEC warning of a possible fourth wave of the virus due to people letting their guards down. Georgia business owners telling me they're going to be monitoring those numbers, but have Usry saying he's trusting Governor Kemp's leadership here. Guys?
Yeah, the spring break wave. We'll have to wait and see what exactly that looks like. But, Cindy, thanks very much. Good to see businesses at least getting a choice in the matter. We also reached out to Georgia's Department of Public Health for their response to the rollback. Officials there say they still recommend the basics: hand washing, social distancing, and the rest.
It's been a week full of Georgia lawmakers in Augusta. First, we saw Senators Warnock and Ossoff in town. Now Congressman Rick Allen is back in town. He was just at AU Health's vaccine clinic on Washington Road this afternoon. He said AU Health sets the example for the rest of the country.
I believe we need to duplicate this throughout the country. I think New York and California need to come down here for just a short time and see how we get things done with Georgia values in Georgia. Yeah, this is the model.
Congressman Allen thanked healthcare workers and our teachers for stepping up during this pandemic. He also shouted out the Masters Tournament and the Augusta National Golf Club for its efforts ramping up vaccines rolling out into honor.
It has been a community-wide effort. Some pretty big paychecks are on the way to our local school districts as part of the American Rescue Plan. Columbia County set to get $20 million. Aiken County, $28 million. Richmond County Schools the most, $117 million.
It is a lot of cash, and with so much money flooding in really all at once, we wanted to know how the counties plan to spend it. Our Celeste Springer live in the studio with the breakdown of the plan so far.
The bill gives significantly more money to our schools than the prior packages, CARES Act and CARES Act 1 and 2. Our districts tell us they're still in the planning stages, but they have big ideas on how to use this money in ways that could help our kids for decades to come.
Only a year ago, many of our schools were in the face of major cutbacks.
Last year, at about this time, our budgets got cut by quite significantly, 11%. And so in a district like ours, that was $15 million.
But now there's hope for our schools as they try and navigate their way out of the pandemic. Over in Aiken County, the district says they plan to use some of the money to pay teachers working over the summer. Though it varies by staff member, the pay is about $10 more an hour than what they normally pay. Columbia County says you might see some job postings from the funding too.
We will hire additional personnel so that we can provide small group instruction and individual remediation for students who we know have lost ground.
20% of the funding districts receive must be used on learning remediation like this. Meanwhile, Richmond County says they're still working to figure out where they'll put their money towards, but say some could go towards extended learning programs and PPE. Columbia County also says they might use some of the money on their computer network, things like Wi-Fi, databases, and more. That could run them $1.5 million. But Caraway says these types of investments could help their schools in the long run.
Anytime you can improve their learning, that's going to last a lifetime for them.
You might be wondering why Richmond County received about 5 times more than Columbia County. The bill gives priority to districts with students living in poverty, and according to the Governor's Office of Student Achievement, 49% of Richmond County students are economically disadvantaged.
Money going to good use there. Celeste, thanks a lot. The Saturday market is back, but could we start seeing more large events downtown? Today, Augusta Commissioners approving a motion to allow a James Brown birthday block party. It would be the weekend before May 3rd, the Godfather's birthday. Organizers also asked the city for permission to block off James Brown Boulevard between Broad Street and Jones Street. City leaders split about approving that event, citing COVID concerns. Organizers say they plan to follow the same COVID protocol as the Saturday market. Mayor Davis made it clear the city must keep the pandemic in mind with all kinds of events like this. Not a done deal yet. Organizers still have to get permission from the Richmond County Sheriff's Office before they can move forward.
Augusta is one summit.
New information tonight from the I-Team could save your life or the life of someone you know.
A federal task force is rewriting the rule book when it comes to the #1 cancer killer in our area. It's such a big deal, the head of lung screening at AU Health reached out to our I-Team's Meredith Anderson to make sure you get this important medical memo. This map shows survival rates for lung cancer, and Georgia and South Carolina's shade of blue. It's not good news. It means fewer than 20% of our friends and family diagnosed with lung cancer here in our area will live, but hopefully that's about to change. At first glance, they seem like relatively minor changes, just 5 years of age and a shorter pack-a-day smoking habit. But Dr. Richard Lee says they're actually monumental.
Maybe doubles the number of people who are eligible for lung cancer screening.
Doubles the number of people.
The estimates are it will double the number of people eligible for lung cancer screening.
Each year, more people die of lung cancer than of colon, breast, and prostate cancers combined. This year alone, the American Cancer Society estimates there will be more than 235,000 new cases of lung cancer in the U.S. and more than 131,000 deaths. On a national scale, 1 in 15 men will develop lung cancer. For women, it's 1 in 17. The I-Team found the outlook is especially grim in the two-state, with both Georgia and South Carolina ranking below average for lung cancer survival rates. Georgia is also below average when it comes to surgical treatment and early diagnosis, which Dr. Lee says makes all the difference.
It saves lives. My own dad died of lung cancer. He was a smoker. He quit for me. 10 years, not a cigarette, did great. But, he would have been eligible for screening. He would be alive today if we had lung cancer screening.
So this, as a doctor, when these recommendations came out, and as a son, you obviously had a reaction to this.
It's a cause for celebration.
A celebration for a cancer that doesn't seem to get much attention otherwise, even though lung cancer makes up 25%, 1/4 of all cancer deaths. Take research money, for example. A study at Northwestern compared cancer types and research money from nonprofits. Breast cancer tops the list with $460 million from nonprofits. That same year, lung cancer research netted only 1/5 of that, even though it's the deadliest cancer. That's likely because of awareness. Breast cancer and its pink ribbons have a lot of that. But you likely don't know what color ribbon represents lung cancer. I admit, I had to look it up. It's white. It also carries a stigma.
80% of all lung cancer is related to smoking.
Which has increased during the pandemic. U.S. Treasury Department data shows cigarette sales increased 1% in 2020. After dropping 4 to 5% each year since 2015. Still, 1/5 of those with lung cancer have never picked up a cigarette. And it seems lung cancer discriminates.
They're more likely to occur in black men and in white women, and they're much more fatal to women than men.
When it comes to our area, the I-Team found black people in South Carolina are least likely to receive treatment. Black people in Georgia are least likely to be diagnosed early. Which brings us back.
This is a tremendous step forward.
To the new screening requirements.
Likely will save up to 60,000 Americans each year and up to 1,800 Georgians a year.
They came too late to save Dr. Lee's father, but maybe they can save someone you love. The screening should also be covered by insurance, but smokers are less likely to have insurance and often don't have full Medicaid coverage. The good news, Dr. Lee says AU Health offers free lung cancer screenings. I'll attach the link to this story on our website and app.
A white ribbon, something that a lot of us didn't realize. Meredith, thanks very much for that.
Outside today, it is a chilly day and the first day of Child Abuse Prevention Month as well. To spread awareness, the AU Health community planted these pinwheel gardens at the Children's Hospital of Georgia. And we're told every pinwheel blowing in that chilly breeze today right in front of the hospital represents a child who's been treated for concerns or confirmed child abuse at CHOG. And that is chilling. Organizers say the gardens are their way of recognizing those children.
It's really our responsibility to make sure that we have systems in place to make sure that any child who comes to us with any injury, any illness at any time is able to receive the highest level of care.
Managers, nurses, medical students, all a part of planting those pinwheel gardens. And if you've ever wondered, why do they pick pinwheels? We're told that they represent the carefree, fun life we all want for our children.
Well, happening now, a blood drive at the First Baptist Church of Augusta. The Shepherd Community Blood Center has been accepting donations there all day long, trying to help fight the shortage that we've been telling you about for weeks now. The senators tell us they're in serious need of O positive and O negative blood. The drive is open for a little while longer tonight. If you want to help out, they're going to be set up until 7 o'clock this evening.
We do have some cold temperatures heading our in-home energy.
We love a good celebration. That's why we are live right now inside the Josie High School gym to celebrate the state champions. Tonight, the school is holding a net cutting ceremony for those girls. The girls basketball team won it all.
And it is happening as we speak. Earlier this month, they won the state basketball championship, finishing their season with a 20-6 record. Pretty impressive. The festivities just got started at 6, and that official net cutting will happen there in about an hour. So congratulations to those girls. They certainly made a
piece of basketball that they will treasure the rest of their lives. And the stories they're going to tell about this amazing season. So congratulations again to the girls at Josie. All right, let's talk about the weather out there this week. Riley, thanks. One local author is taking a deep dive into the history of Hamburg, South Carolina. He says there are historical gaps in the town story that really need filling in.
News 12's Tradisha Woodard talked to him about the message he wants to send with his new book.
Hamburg, South Carolina is a ghost town. But underneath the crumbling bricks and broken glass is a story.
I tried to tell it like a story.
Michael Smith is the author of The Lost Freedmen's Town of Hamburg, South Carolina.
There's so much there that has not been said.
He says he wrote this book to fill the historical gaps and tell the untold stories of Hamburg's history.
It was an event that had a beginning, a middle, and an end.
He says that's why first-hand documents were crucial for encountering misinformation.
Government records, transcripts from everything from court hearings to legislative proceedings.
He says the book has connections from past to present, and it contrasts to history that exists on the other side of the river.
Some of the structures behind me and others, even in worse condition in the woods, continue to deteriorate. However, grand monuments exist to folks who contributed greatly to Hamburg's downfall, notably the Meriwether Monument. You've got golf course, manicured grass, and blooming azaleas and sprouting water fountains.
He says the goal of this book is to provide more context.
I want people to think.
And present them in a way people can relate.
That we, develop a greater understanding of, what happened in our past and hopefully change our future.
Tradisha Woodard, on your side.
So interesting to see the ruins there. What's left of Hamburg? It was a thriving town on the Savannah River.
It was not a lot left though. Yeah, he's right. And if you want your own copy of the book, if you want to learn more, it is on sale next Wednesday the 5th. It'll be at all major book retailers like Target, Walmart, Barnes & Noble. So easy to get your hands on.
Interesting bit of research that he did there. Okay, the field is about to shrink at Augusta National Women's Amateur.